How's it going, my G's? So I just made this little lo-fi beat today. Actually, that's a lie. I made it yesterday, and I just improved it a little bit today. I wanted to share it with you and give you a little few tips with sound design and Vital. And let's have a quick listen. So it kind of loops like that, but I was just leaving it on as I was making my tea, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, I could have left it on loop for the whole Sunday. It's quite relaxing. Anyway, the reason I made it is after the last release, Grey, I've been trying to work on this new song, and I've not really been able to get it to the satisfactory level. So I've been a bit in a creative rut for a little while. It's quite good, but it's not like I feel like I set myself a new standard and I need to live up to it. And yeah, it's kind of messed with my head a little bit. So yeah, I got into a little creative rut. Rut is a funny word, isn't it? Rut. It's like rat, but with a U. Yeah. So basically, I thought I can't just like disown music making and Logic forever. So I thought let's just make something different, completely different from what I normally do. So yeah, I was looking at some sound design, I was looking at some Rhodes, so I'm going to show you how I made this Rhodes. And it's so actually surprisingly easy to make. I was like, how can you get such a realistic Rhodes piano out of Vital? And it's super easy. So I've got some simple chords in it. I'm not sure why it's clicking like that, it's quite annoying. Alright, we'll have to just deal with that. Anyway, it's basically, all it is two sine waves with a bit of FM. So maybe I can reverse engineer it quickly, because I think it is a really sick sound. Start with, yeah, what it's got a bit of pitch modulation on the whole patch. So on the transpose, it's been turned up to 1.5, so it's always wobbling, and the 1.5 amount of LFO2, which is a kind of pattern I've done like this, and then LFO1 is going to modulate some other stuff. But yeah, start off with just a sine wave, and it's got a longer attack, so it fades in quite nicely, and then it's got like a long release. Bit of a like bringing the sustain down a bit, and then oscillator 2 higher up, just very low in the mix though, and then modulated into oscillator 1. And it works much better when you start to play some chords. And yeah, this is was my sort of starting point, just having a little Rhodes in there, a little bit of filtering, and then yeah, just a few effects, chorus, bit of delay, bit of compression, touch of reverb, and a bit of EQing. I think I brought up the high end like a really small amount. But yeah, it's quite an easy sound to make in the end, but it does just work for this kind of genre, I think. So next thing I wanted to do, if I sort of mute this lead, is add in this fat and juicy lo-fi sub. And I thought I wanted to like really squeeze out the harmonics of the sub, so it's not just a sine wave. I was thinking that I wanted to like square off the sine wave, and so rather than like doing it in the first oscillator, I thought I'd add in like a square, actual another oscillator that's a square, and then sort of blend that into it. But like on its own as a square, it was like too harsh almost. So with this low pass mode on, it takes out some of that high end, and then I FM'd it into oscillator 1. So it adds in these extra higher sort of square harmonics, but just a small amount, sort of like 3%. When it's down low, that's where you want it. Really nice little push in the sub bass in the mid range. Just a little tickle, and then I got a little like extra higher sine wave, which also gets squared off a bit with the FM of the oscillator too. There's a touch of brown noise. I love that it's brown noise. And what I've done is I've actually high passed it. Because yeah, it's a little bit, the white noise can be quite harsh, I find. So the brown noise is pretty nice and smooth, but then you've got all this horrible low end in, so that's why I filter it on a separate thingy-majiggy. Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Like 1% of, or less than that of compression to kind of boost it together a bit. And then I kind of just copied the pattern of my Rhodes chords, but I just chose what I thought would be the root note of the chord. So it's sort of D, C, F, and G. And then, yeah, so those two together. And you see the sort of, the Rhodes actually stays sustained for the whole 2 bar. But the sub, I've sort of chopped it in 2 because that's where the kick, it starts every time the kick hits. And I didn't have to really sidechain it because on the actual sub bass, I just turned up the attack. So it just has a slower kind of fade in to give the kick space. And then in the Rhodes, I just added a simple like compression, sidechain compression to the kick. So it kind of just ducks around. And let's quickly talk about the drums and that before I move on to the like lead. So I just found a sample that had sort of a natural texture on it already, and I don't know where it was from, but yeah, it's just got this like kind of already lo-fi kind of feeling on the top end, but it's got enough punch in the low end, so I didn't need to synthesize a kick underneath it or something. Then there's a clap, and I've put on this like cool effect from Echo Boy where it kind of like pitches down and goes a bit like weird and lo-fi-y almost. There's the oil can. I thought that's quite nice. Yeah, it gives it this bit of a longer like you're in a deep dark dirty tunnel, and there's like a lo-fi like jazz. I was in Japan once, and there was like such a nice moment when I was under a bridge and there was a saxophonist playing, and just like the reverb under the bridge was just like so cool at the time. I'm such a music geek, I realise as I'm speaking. Yeah, anyway, the lo-fi hats, how I made these. These are beautiful in my opinion, and they're so soft and just heavily reverbed out. And what I actually did, I can't really reverse engineer it now, but I actually had like an aggressive hat loop, like you'd have like a D&B hat loop or something. And I slammed a bunch of Valhalla shimmer reverb on it and like really turned up the mix, so it's very much more reverb than hat. And then because it was still like too aggressive, I basically used the final reverb tail at the end of the reverb and then re-looped that to create, it's almost just like a noise / reverb / hat texture. And yeah, it sounds like it's got a lot of low end in, but it doesn't really. I mean, it does a bit. Yeah, you can hear a bit of rumble down here, but it's lo-fi and I'm kind of trying to fill out the space. So I thought for this, I'll just leave it in for now. But maybe I can take it out, I don't know. Let's go up to 250 just for a laugh. Yeah, then I had these extra this little perk hit, which has got a bunch of reverb on just to fit it into the mix. It's been turned down way down, -18, and it like comes in just before the kick, and it's just like a little sort of ghost hit almost. But yeah, I kind of felt it needed one little tickle of ghost magic, like, so it wasn't just a straight kick and clap pattern. yeah, it's got a weird kind of stereo image on it as well, but I quite like that. And then I've got these other 2 hat verbs, and these are like 2 other random, I think sort of D&B hats that I found, and then I just literally smashed them through like Valhalla Shimmer or some long reverb. So if you kind of hear it, almost taking out the transient, and I've got 2 different types. This is sort of a higher, more cymbally, bright one, and then like a response splash. So there's my hat verb splashes to fill out the background. That's quite a cool thing you can do in any kind of music, you know. And these kind of lo-fi hats, they'd be a great layer in any kind of music. Princess Leia, shout out to Princess Leia, although not the young one in the new Obi-Wan series because she's well annoying. It's just like let him get on with his job. Do you know what I mean? So that's the drums really taking up like a load of the background with all that noise from my lo-fi hats and my splash reverb tingy-majiggies. And then now I've got the vinyl crackle. What lo-fi track would be complete without it? Plenty of samples around those on the dark webs, on the web 3.0, so you won't have much trouble looking for that. Yeah, then I've got my Rhodes and the sub, and then the last thing I thought, you know, we could leave it like this, but why not have a juicy little lead? So I'm going to show you how I made that in a second as well. So this little nostalgia lead, I thought I need something to make me feel a bit sort of a melancholic feeling that's sort of like a bit nostalgic, a bit sad. And I think that's quite a nice little riff that I've played in there off the back of my face. I mean, yeah, just randomly, like while I was jamming along. I re-recorded it maybe 3 or 4 times, and then on the last time I sort of had a cool melody in my personal perspective opinion. And then sorry, I'm a bit mental. Yeah, and then basically what did I do? Oh yeah, I just like moved 1 or 2 of the MIDI notes that weren't quite on the right spot. But let's have a peek into the sound, because I think it's quite tasty. And this one's got a lot, as you can probably guess, like reverb on it and chorusing. Maybe if I start with everything off again, like a little juicy fish in the night, and then yeah, horrible saw wave to start with. Again, it's with sort of like the Rhodes piano. I'll sort of turn the attack up to give it a nice fade in, turn the sustain down to give it a nice little peaky blinder, and then long release. We've got some randomization on some stuff. I think I might have transposed the pitch as well. Yeah, I've got the pitch on my sort of little up and down LFO again here, transposing the pitch so it always wobbles. Always be wobbling, won't you, sir? Yes, sir, I'll be wobbling forever. Next we have, and similar to what I did with the Rhodes, a little sine wave higher up. That's beautiful, isn't it? Just like that. That FM's into it, and it's obviously sounding terrible still. So let's filter it all. Bit nicer, yeah. Bit of a cheeky randomization on the cutoff, driving it up a bit, and that's kind of the main voicing done, and then literally chorus it a bit, compress it a bit, and I think I've turned down the high all the way. I think it's just as it comes, but turn down that high. Just made everything a bit more, yeah, punchier in a way, or a bit more aggressive, because it's quite quiet to begin with. Simple long delay on 8ths, taking off a bit of the high end. And then this is where it gets good, which is where you reverb the hell out of it. So I've got it up at 50%. I've got a big time, big size, big daddy boss vibes on the reverb ting. You get me? And on the EQ, I boosted a bit of that high end, just like a sort of, hypocritical idiot because I took high end out and then I reboosted it. But that is the filtering chain of thoughts. So welcome to the chamber. Anyway, yeah, I like this. It was kind of like therapy writing this little loop. It's a kind of never-ending loop. All I need to do now is get like an animated photo and then like re-loop the audio, stretch it to 3.5 hours long to this animated photo, which would also be stretched to 3.5 hours long. Upload it, and then you can sort of fall asleep to it when you're like sitting in a hut in Indonesia or something. Thank you for watching my content. I really appreciate it. And stay productive, stay safe, and don't do anything I wouldn't.